Welcome to Eagle City Multifamily Show, where we talk about all things apartments. But before we get into this show, I want to say that this is not legal or financial advice. It is simply professionals doing what we do, investing in apartments. Today we have a fine guest, Sandia. Would you talk to us a little bit of how you got into apartment investing, how you got started, and what you're doing currently?
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much for having me on your show, Herb. I hope to add value to your listeners. And like most Asian geeks, I was good in math and I ended up becoming an engineer by trade. And I loved my engineering job, but a few months into it, I realized very quickly all the business types were telling us what to do. And so it was always the sales and marketing people who seemed to be running the show. So I said, I want to kind of learn how they make those decisions because I have no idea why they picked one thing over the other. So while I worked my full-time engineering job, I went part-time thanks to my company and got myself an MBA. And that's where my financial knowledge and business side of the world started. I invested also full-time in the stock market. Once I had children, I quit the corporate world. But then I was looking for a way to get into real estate because 90% of millionaires do so through real estate. But I was not a handy person. I mean, I didn't grow up with a dad who taught me how to use a hammer and stuff. So I was like, I can't do these fix and flips. I can't just go rent some single family rental and be called on Thanksgiving Day to fix a leaky toilet. That was like a worst nightmare. And then, I'm a numbers person. So when I ran the numbers on single family, by the time I paid a property management company, I wouldn't make much money at all. So that's why I stayed out of single family completely. But when a friend told me that I could do large scale multifamily, 100 plus doors kind of range, and I could employ a professional property management company to run it for me. So all the day-to-day work of maintenance, right? Fixing people's leaky toilets and also the leasing staff and screening tenants and all of that, that would all be handled by on-site staff. And I would be more of an asset manager at a high level, looking at the numbers, executing the business plan to make money for investors while building these communities. That totally appealed to me because it appealed to the engineer in me as well as the PTA mom in me who wants to improve communities and all the business knowledge I had. So it was a perfect fit. So I jumped right in, much like you. I went to a weekend program and immediately signed up for this mentoring program after the weekend event. And that was over 3.5 years ago. And here I am now, a syndicator in about 7 deals currently in active, and 2 of them completed a full cycle. And I also have numerous passive investments to the tune of 23 deals. And I did that passively with my retirement money. So people ask me, what's a passive investor, right? And I tell you, a passive investor is just like what you and I do in the stock market, right? You put money in Amazon or Apple stock and you hope it grows in value. And you just sit back after you put your money in there. And when it gets to the price you want, hopefully you can sell it and get your money back. But it's the executives at those companies who make all those decisions. So it's just like being a passenger on a plane. Once you buy your ticket, you sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. And it's those pilots who are going to get you there on time. So that's pretty much the difference between a passive investor or a limited partner and a general partner. So I've done both of those, and I still continue to do both of those roles in multifamily investing.
Wow, that is amazing, Sandia. Thank you for your background.
Very long answer.
Oh yes, I love it. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about like what you do, like say underwriting and how that's done. Like share with us some things to watch for, like or to look for when we're looking for a team that to trust, to put our money with, right? To passively invest. Would you mind sharing a little bit of what you look for in underwriting?
Sure. The most important thing is always the team. It's like you're betting on the jockey first before the horse. So it's very important for you to have a team that is experienced in that local market. You may have done a great job out in Phoenix, but then when you come to Dallas and you want to invest in Dallas, you want to make sure the team that's taking over has the knowledge and the experience that's local because things are so different. Like taxes are such a big deal in Texas they don't matter at all much in Phoenix, right? So you want to make sure the team is experienced in the local market and they employ a property management company who also has that local background and knowledge. Why does this matter? Because, well, beginners half done. So when it comes to things like underwriting, right, all the little nuances that go into underwriting a deal, a team with local experience is going to do a much better job of it. So every number that goes into a spreadsheet for your underwriting has to be verified, confirmed, reconfirmed by somebody who is neutral. What do I mean by somebody who's neutral? If I'm a general partner with Herb on a deal, we should have every number in those underwriting spreadsheets verified by somebody other than the two of us. So let me give you an example. If you put rent numbers there, right? The property currently gets $800 for a one bedroom, and you think you can go to $900 or $1,000, right? Who's going to agree to that? What are you doing to get that additional rent? Will tenants want to pay for it? How cool or how great is your one bedroom that they're willing to pay an extra $100? I mean, that's a large rent bump, right? It's more than 10% on an $800 deal. So you want to make sure you have a property management company with that local experience who comes in with a budget and says, yes, you can get that done. Or they might come back and tell you, no, you might get $25 more. You're not going to get $100 more, right? If you want rent numbers as an example, it's going to be verified by a budget from the property management company that's going to run this property for you. They have to be in full agreement on the business plan. So the question you would ask if you were a limited partner or passive investor thinking about investing in this deal, you're going to ask them, how did you verify those numbers? Did your property management company agree to those rent numbers? Maybe they're coming and telling you, hey, I'm going to get other income. I'm going to get pet rent from 50 pets out of 100 units in my apartment. You're like, I don't think you're going to get quite that much. So you want, again, your, property management company to agree to that number. What's another number? I'm going to get reserved parking. I'm going to just charge $50 for every parking spot in my property. Really? Is that what's happening nearby? Did you drive around the properties around your subject property? Do they get that kind of money for just a parking spot? That's maybe in some special cases you could get that, but not typically. So again, your property management company would verify that number. Now let's talk about taxes, right? Those are a big deal in Texas. So if you decide that your taxes are not really going to go up and you just use the broker's numbers on last year's taxes and not bump it up sufficiently, and you assume that for the next 5 years, that's going to be a mistake. So I'm going to ask, who verified your tax numbers? And we use a tax protest company in Dallas, in Texas. So you want that company to tell you, this is how much we anticipate in your county, in your specific location for the taxes to go up. What is your purchase price? How many doors is it? Where is that location? Because they have all this data on properties that have been bought and sold in your immediate vicinity, but they also have insights into each county, each tax assessor's office, and they know how much they can protest and win. So you want them to give you that number. It's the same thing with insurance. How much should my insurance go up in this zip code? Oh, that property? You have to provide them with the property's address, because guess what? Part of it could be on a floodplain. You might think only one building is in a floodplain. The actual insurance adjuster is going to say, nah, it's actually like 5 or 6 of your 8 buildings are in a floodplain, right? So every number in your spreadsheet has to be verified by somebody who is neutral. Same with the term sheet and your interest rate, right? Whatever financing you're assuming for your deal. Oh, I'm going to get 80% leverage on this deal because my deal is so great. Okay, which lender gave you that? Show me a term sheet, right? That's an example. Well, they're going to loan me 80% plus they're going to fund all my rehab money. Really? They're going to fund you money for what? You installing a nice big playground and putting fancy digital marquee signage there? Really? Okay, maybe not. A lender is more likely to fund an interior upgrade, provided it's reasonable. But if you're going to spend $20,000 for an interior upgrade on a C-class property to make it look like a palace kind of interior, and you're going to get a $50 rent bump from it, that's not a very good business plan. So that's why both Herb and I have the advantage of being part of a large mentoring program where we actually have coaches. So before we make offers on deals, we go to a coach and we have at least 2 neutral coaches who review the underwriting, who review all these assumptions, question and challenges on those numbers before they let us get away with an offer. And that's huge because most groups don't do that. A lot of deals flying out there in social media that you might get emails from syndicators, they don't have the approval and review of two additional coaches who are neutral, unbiased views, and they own thousands of doors in the same local area. They're not people sitting out in Canada and California telling us how to run properties in Texas. These are coaches who actually manage thousands, if not tens of thousands of doors. So you want to make sure when you pick somebody to invest with, they've got all the experience, they've got all their numbers verified by third-party neutral people, and the blessings or at least the review of coaches.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Sandia. That yes, we've known each other for a year and a half or so now, and we're part of the same apartment advisory group here in Dallas.
Yep.
And that's a really great thing that a lot of apartment syndicators don't have is coaches, like you mentioned, that have experience and they're out in the field doing the same deals in the same market, but they're also advising others, right? It's a third party neutral. That's great. That's something good for that everyone should look for in in the teams that you intend to invest with. So if you and what's the name of your company in case people want to like look you up and invest with you or whatever? Is there
The easiest way to find me is my website. It's multifamily4u.com, where it's multifamily number 4you.com. That's my website. I'm also pretty active on LinkedIn as well as Facebook, so they can find me through either. And of course, they can out to me through Herb, right? Your host. Your host knows how to find me, so that would be the easy way.
Yes, we meet each other very often, and I've seen a lot of your properties. I've been on site with your properties, some before and after when you've your business plan implemented. And Sandy, you're amazing.
Thank you.
Properties that before you done your business plan and after. And yes, it's amazing what you do. And I know a lot of other people that invest with you as well, and they all talk highly of you. So that's a good report. That's yeah. So I have a few questions from the audience. I would like to and this one you've pretty much answered already in all your underwriting knowledge that you gave to us. So what makes you believe in the deal that you invest in? Like, because we know, both of you and I know, that an apartment across the street could look as good as the one that you're purchasing or believe in investing in. So what are some of the things that make you believe in the apartments you invest in?
So if I was investing passively, like I mentioned earlier, the team is everything, the team and their experience. If I was looking to purchase one, I need to make sure that the basic bread and butter of an apartment is the rent. The rent has to be far below market. And I verify that by me personally visiting the properties around that apartment, trying to see why the subject properties apartment rents are so much less for a comparable sized unit. Are they both the same size unit, like a 1 bedroom here versus a 2 bedroom here? Are they both like similar in square footage, in amenities? Are the two apartments similar in amenities? Are they both located on the same side of a highway? Because even that matters, even within a 1 mile radius, right? One might be on the wrong side of the highway, if you will, and therefore it might be much lower in rent than the other. So you got to look into all of those details. Another thing I like to do is I like to drive by the property at night. And I like to see if I can get out there and walk around, and do I feel safe as a woman? And sometimes I might take my kiddo along as well, because they give me a different perspective on the property. Oh, this looks so fun, or this is so safe, or I'm hearing the laughter of children. And sometimes we're also more easily approachable, and both my kids speak Spanish, by the way, which is a huge bonus. So in many different ways, I go scout these properties. Even if I'm investing as a passive investor, I try to find deals in Dallas that I could drive to, because that's my market. I've lived here 32 years, so I really know my little suburbs and safe areas and not so great locations. So the most important thing for me to look at when I invest in my own deals is is there significant value add? Can I really improve the amenities in this property to where the residents want to pay the extra money? So a lot of our properties, the residents go up to the property manager and ask them, can I stay in one of those newly upgraded units? I don't mind paying the extra $50 or $100, right? And the business plan in another of my deals was all about just providing washers and dryers. I mean, that is such a huge convenience because, imagine in the summer of Texas in August, and you're this mom with two little kids, to have to take that laundry all the way to the laundry center at the property or to your car and drive it somewhere and stay there till it's washed and bring it back is such a hassle. Any resident would pay the extra, $35 to $50 rent bump just to have washer dryers in their units. So you want to find amenities and features for which the residents are willing to pay extra. So Wi-Fi is super popular. If we can offer Wi-Fi to them at a lower price than what they can buy it themselves directly, obviously it's something they would pay for. So you have to make sure there is significant value add of things tenants want to pay for, because ultimately residents are your customers. So if you don't take care of them, you're not going to have any residents living in your property. They'll find another place to live, and you'll have a large vacancy. Your lender will be after you. So value add in a way that makes sense for that property.
Yes, Sandy, I've seen your properties, and all the properties I've seen were really well kept and maintained, like no trash around. It was very well maintained. And
Thank
that's a
you.
big thing too for tenants. One thing that I know you and I provide is a better and a safer place for people to live. And that's a big deal. I've even seen you going out and giving, like on Thanksgiving or Christmas, giving things to tenants.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's just wonderful.
Yeah. The
Uh,
community aspect of it is huge for us. So we try to have, like, even during COVID, we gave away a free Thanksgiving turkey. We used to leave treat bags at their doors, which contained the hard to find items from, remember the days when we couldn't get toilet paper and sanitizing wipes and things like that. So we made a little bag and hung it on the door of every resident because weren't allowed to have contact with people in those scary days of COVID, right? So we did
right.
things like that. And then back to school bash. Christmas, we always like to have something. So like even a door decorating contest, an online photo contest. And that brings the community together so that when they have a problem, right, they're not able to pay their rent, especially during COVID, they actually lost their jobs. They would come up to us. And so we sat socially distanced outdoors, and our property manager helped them fill out their applications for rent relief because those forms aren't the easiest to fill out. And so we helped them do that. And so most of them got rent relief money, which meant our delinquency was down. So when you build a community like that, they watch out for each other. There's less crime. They invite their friends and, people they'll want into the property. So you truly are building a little community, just like you would in any neighborhood of single family homes. And we're just trying to mimic the same thing. We also invite, for example, the police over to do national night out or other crime prevention things. And so we do that whenever we see little bouts of crime happening. There may be a theft here and there and things. So we do a lot of things. We try to partner with community partners to bring events to our properties. It's big. We are building a community. This is the home that they live in. You got to take care of them.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you, Sandia. And I have one more question before we come to a close here on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Could you share with us a little bit about some of the tax savings that some people can save by investing passively or otherwise in apartments?
So as long as it's your non-retirement money, because retirement money is already tax sheltered, as long as it's your non-retirement money, your passive gains that you might get from distributions and cash flow can be offset by the passive losses. And what do I mean by passive losses? Well, we all know that if you have a building, it depreciates in value, right? The air conditioner has a life of 10 years. So you could do 10% a year. But things like the carpet and the fixtures and the cabinets and things, they depreciate a lot faster. So we do what is called a cost segregation study on our large apartments. A company who does that for a business, Madison, ETS, a whole bunch of companies. They come and do a cost segregation study for us. And they come back, and because of the bonus depreciation and the accelerated depreciation they're able to do, they actually come back and say, hey, there is a loss of, $7 million on this property that's worth, $25 million. So that $7 million paper loss, you didn't actually lose money. The property didn't lose value. That's the depreciation of all of these things I just mentioned. You apply that against the money that was brought in by the investors. So if you raise 10 million from investors and you have 7 million in depreciation that is given to you by this cost segregation company, that's a 70% paper loss. It shows up in your K1 statement. So you take this cost segregation report given to you by this professional company, and we send it on to our accountant who does the taxes, and they issue a K1 for those losses. And that's how my investors save money. A lot of them need some kind of a tax savings program. And so this helps them do that. Now, in addition, if they're also a qualified real estate professional, which means they do this full time, then they could take in all of this depreciation and apply it for their entire income, not just to the income they earn from this one category. So that's the difference. And definitely you want to speak to your accountant about it. This is my understanding, but I'm not a professional. You want to take each situation to your accountant, see what's the best way to get you the best tax breaks through reinvesting in real estate.
Thank you, Sandia. That's something that a lot of people don't know and that they want to know. It's very valuable. So thank you for watching this show today with Sandia, and see you on the next show.